Hey there, Andrew here with another briefing, South Appalachian weather. It's January 22nd, 2026, about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to get into the details, into the nuts and bolts now of this winter weather event that we've been watching this entire week that's been grabbing national headlines and has brought a lot of concern, understandable concern, over what could happen across our region here as we head through this weekend. So we're going to go ahead and jump straight to actually a weather model output. This is from the NAM, or the North American model, and I want to emphasize this is one run of one weather model right now. So this is not even yet still the whole story, but this puts pretty well, generally, I think, what we can expect as we go through this event. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave this looping as we kind of step through each day and again what we can expect across our region. And when I say our region, our territory, we're talking about Ellijay, Georgia to Ducktown, Tennessee, and all of Polk County, Tennessee, over to Hiawassee, Georgia, Blairsville, Georgia, and Murphy to Hayesville, North Carolina. That box, if you will, where the three states come together, that's what we're talking about and focusing in on. And as we step through this, first off, notice early in the day on Saturday. So we're talking 7 a.m. on Saturday. First, we're going to actually be starting off with rain. And that rain will continue off and on through the next several days, but we're going to be switching back and forth between different forms of precipitation. Bear in mind, though, overall, we're looking at total water equivalent amounts of about 1 to 2 inches. So this is going to be some very heavy rain when it is rain that's falling. If it's snow, it's going to be heavy, wet snow. A lot wetter than we typically see in this part of the country this time of year. Anyhow, on Saturday, early in the morning, actually dry, and then rain will be beginning from west to east across our region. Now, as we head further into Saturday, some of that rain in spots is going to transition, and it's going to be heavily dependent on elevation, local wind patterns, so much details that we can't get into the exact specifics even here in this briefing. But we're going to be transitioning to some isolated areas of heavy wet snow and or some freezing rain late in the day Saturday going into Sunday morning. Now, when I say wet snow and freezing rain, you may be thinking ice storm, right? Actually, no. In this particular case, an ice storm is classified as ice accumulation or accretion or glaze greater than a 1/4 inch. Overall, I really don't think we're going to be getting to that amount of ice accumulation, because really what's going to be happening, our temperatures are going to be hovering just above or just at freezing. It may dip below in some spots. The dew points may be low enough that ice may be able to accumulate, but it's going to be waffling back and forth. So accumulations are going to be difficult. I'm not saying they're impossible, but they're not going to be this tremendous amounts that you may be seeing and will be possible in other areas around us. Again, same thing with the snow. We're going to be waffling back and forth. It's going to be a sloppy rain-snow mix, that kind that is miserable to be outside in, but doesn't really yield a lot of snowfall accumulation. Now, as we head into Sunday morning, that freezing rain and heavy wet snow will still be possible in isolated spots. But as we continue on into the day and the sun comes up Sunday morning, we're going to continue with that heavy rain. And pretty much area-wide, we're going to actually transition to, for the most part, a heavy rain, perhaps some, again, rain-snow mix, perhaps some isolated spots of freezing rain, but pretty much across our entire region, we're going to be going for breezy conditions. Notice, if you look very closely, those isobars, those areas of constant barometric pressure, very tightly spaced. We will be getting breezy Sunday afternoon in particular as the low pressure center moves north of our region. But overall, we'll be looking at rain. And then as we head into Sunday night, again, may see some spots once again of a little bit of freezing rain, but mainly a transition over to some light accumulating snow that'll stick around on into Monday. And again, that's going to be heavily dependent. All of these things I'm saying other than rain, when you hear me talking about snow or freezing rain, We're talking about isolated pockets and spots, not this uniform spread that you may have seen out of other weather maps and other information here over the last week. Our terrain and our topography just doesn't support that type of accumulation and spread like you would say up in Iowa, where things are much flatter. We just don't really see that kind of circumstances here in the mountains. Now, as we head into Monday morning and Tuesday morning, again, light snow possible at the very end of the precipitation as we head into Monday. And then on Tuesday, we're going to plunge the temperatures. Wind chills will be in single digits on Monday morning. On Tuesday morning, they may actually be in negative single digit territory. And the ambient temperature, just the measured thermometer temperature, is going to dip down into the mid to low single digit values, may even see some values near zero in the highest elevations. So already now, that means we can get into what do we do as far as preparedness and what can we expect as far as impacts. First off, again, to run through those same 4 points we always do. First, starting off with power, with electricity. Wet snow in isolated spots, freezing rain in isolated spots. That is going to translate to a potential for some isolated power outages because wet snow and freezing rain does stick to power lines and power poles. So there is going to be that possibility of some isolated power outages as we go through Saturday night into Sunday morning. Those breezy conditions Sunday afternoon may also yield some breaking tree limbs. So don't be surprised if you do see some isolated power outages throughout this event. But we're, again, shouldn't be looking at widespread outages, things like we've seen at other times when we've had a lot of devastation. That's not really what we're looking at with this particular event. Now, moving onward to agriculture and to pets. In particular, be very cautious Monday morning and especially Tuesday morning after how wet it will have been, especially with calves and younger livestock. Make sure that they've got a warm place to be that's sheltered because we will be looking at that possibility of some impacts for them. Again, same story with pets. Make sure they've got a warm and dry place to get. Again, check on bedding. Make sure they've got water sources. Thankfully, we will be getting above freezing each afternoon, so not really looking at as much of a potential freeze in water sources. But still, just check on those things, make sure that they've got somewhere to be and they can get the resources they need as well. Now, recreation. If I'm brutally honest, fishing, hiking, boating, just don't. Please, just don't this weekend. This is not going to be a weekend for any of that. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be wet. It's going to be cold. Being out and about in this kind of conditions really is going to be not much fun at minimum, not very recreational, and at the worst, you will have that potential for hypothermia and things like that from it being so wet and so cold. Now, as far as travel, again, another one of the big ones that affects all of us, it's going to be very dependent on the road treatments, what the DOT crews are going to be able to do as far as exactly where impacts are and so forth. So keep an eye on that as far as your local emergency management from the county and then also the state DOTs, the information they're putting out. We may have a potential for black ice on Monday morning as well as we're going through that final transition from rain back to snow in spots, again, isolated spots, and dropping fully below freezing. So bear that in mind as well because it's going to be so wet and then plunge below freezing. Same story on Tuesday morning as well. And also an additional note as far as travel, because if we now switch over to the snowfall forecast, this is beyond our region. In particular, if you look over to the west of Chattanooga, if you look further down towards Rayburn County in Georgia, Macon County in North Carolina, Graham County in North Carolina, we are looking at a potential for snow outside of our region. And I won't even get into the maps, but there is a potential that we could be looking at an ice storm to our south and to our east over into South Carolina, some areas south of our main ridge of the Appalachians, the southern line of Union and Towns County in Georgia. We may be looking at a significant amount of ice. So if you're venturing outside of our region, definitely take note of what the conditions are. Be very, very careful if you have to go beyond the borders of our local counties here, because the conditions we're going to be having is going to be very mild compared to what some of our neighboring communities may have outside of our region. So that's pretty much it. We've kind of stepped through all of this here. Definitely stay safe this weekend. Keep a close eye on official sources from the National Weather Service, from your local county emergency management, as far as the latest information. There will be changes. There will be some final things, but this is pretty much a rundown of, I think, what the bulk of our area is going to be seeing. Again, we'll have those isolated pockets of some potential problems, but we're not looking at a widespread, devastating event like we've seen other years. So we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Again, keep a close eye on things. Stay tuned. NOAA Weather Radio, good source of information, especially in an event like this where you may have some power outages. Keep phones charged up. Things like that, not a bad thing to do as well. Again, if you've got some final prep time that you can, stock up on some of those non-perishable food items. Again, just in case you are isolated or have to stay in. Staying in is going to be a good idea, even if the roads are passable, just because it's going to be so miserable out with this very cold, sloppy rain, snow mix type of scenario we're going to be dealing with. So definitely stay safe out there. Like I said, we're going to be all right. Keep updated on the latest information. I'll try to put something out if something drastically changes, but I don't really anticipate that right now. So again, stay tuned to the official sources and have a great weekend as much as we can while we hunker down and stay inside.